Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I must appreciate and thank Mr. A.V. Lingo for making this talk, and actually he directed the whole talk into a philosophical thought. Because I really, like to be spending some time with Lingo because the way he looks at things is always having a philosophical touch behind it. And there were very nice one or two occasions where I met him, and I also had a detailed talk about how he looks at art and the world and the nature. And this is a beautiful evening, and I really feel like this feels like an unplugged, well-ripe cherry in this beautiful twilight. Especially in the Cholamandal village, this is a place I always long to be. And I always want to be belonging to be. That is the place this is. And here I'm also seeing Shri S.G. Vasudev. He is also one of the painters who has always, I admired his works so much, and it is really very lucky that she is able to hold her exhibition here where such eminent artists are here. And also we have the director and the two other eminent artists who are also here as a chief guest. I really would like to appreciate Swarnalatha first of all for all her works, because it's something really wonderful. And I want to say few things here. Basically, before I even begin, today is International Women's Day, and to have a woman's solo exhibition. See, being an artist is different. Painting is different. Some people do it for a hobby, some people do it seriously, some people do it for the soul. The one who does it for the soul is somebody who will leave his soul behind and legacy behind. That is how the painting has to be. And when I see her works, it talks much more, which Sri Lango also touched upon. And on this International Women's Day, to celebrate a woman who has done so much of painting works, it gives me a lot of joy, and let's give her a big hand first. And I also, let me say, I'm also a poetess and a painter. I'm a poetess who turned into a painter later. I'm a self-taught artist, never went to any, arts college or never knew anything before, but I was experimenting. Because in my opinion, I feel a form of art is a sheer experimentation, bringing out your own experience, and it is a learning experience which continues forever. That is how I look at art. So the path that I have come across was also like that. So as a poet, for this International Women's Day, I see very beautiful women sitting here, and I must say that we must all thank the God, because only the Almighty created women as someone very beautiful. He knows how to admire the beauty. The thing of beauty is a joy forever. So I have written a poem which I would like to also present. Admirable, beautiful, charming, docile, energizing, fabulous, gorgeous, hyacinth, intelligent, jubilant, kind, lovable, mysterious, noble, optimistic, prophetic, queenly, romantic, sanctity, treasure, ultimate, vibrant, wonderful, extraordinary, yin in the yang and yang in the young, and zealous. She is the woman, the most beautiful of all creations. Women are always the strength of the world. It doesn't matter which country she belongs to or which religion she is claiming herself to be. Whether she is a literate or an illiterate, whether she is young or old, they are the strength beyond the doubt for the country. He was telling, Sri Ilango was mentioning, one has to think. I remember what Socrates said, I cannot teach anybody, I'm not here to teach anyone. Whereas, I would like to say that each one of us should think. So it is the process of thought that every artist goes through. The way he looks at things, the way he is actually, perceiving things, and the way he is expressing things makes one an artist, in my opinion. And here we do live in a very fast moving world. He said we are suffering from electronics. And we all laughed at it. But it is true. We live in a fast moving world of technology, and it is no more a world than to our own grandmothers. They didn't have this kind of luxury, in fact. We had the kings and queens who have been living here, but they were all going with the chariots on the horsebacks. Very difficult to travel for the queens and the palanquin. But still today we are all coming in fantastic, comfortable cars. We don't know the difficulties. When message has to be passed on, the kings and soldiers were actually, traveling long distances. But today everything happens through the WhatsApp. So electronic has got its own, comfort zones, but still it has also got its difficulties, like he was mentioning about the pornography-filled internet. So now, definitely we are lucky. The generation that is going to come after us is going to be luckier. And their generations, I mean to say the third generation which is going to come is really the luckiest. But beyond all this kind of technology, development and everything, women who have got their freedom internally in their homes as well as externally outside, there is one other world where they suffer. They do not know what are their rights, and the International Women's Day actually depicts and talks more and more about the equality, gender equality and everything. And it is such a shame in the 21st century we still talk about gender bias, which should not be there. He was telling beautiful philosophy, sir. I said yin in the yang and yang in the yin, that is what Mr. Ilango had said. It has to be like, she became Chandra Ilango and now I am Chandra Ilango, or I should have been Ilango Chandra. If every man here realizes the importance of his better half, that is why she's called as a better half. Many of the times it becomes like bitter half. If they remember, they realize, they respect, then we are going to create a fantastic world which will be full of joy and happiness, and paintings will change, music will change, everything will change. But utopianism doesn't happen anywhere. We cannot live in such a society where there is always, when there is a good, there is always a bad. It is always both sides of the coin, inevitably. Unfortunately, it is like this. In fact, I am always nowadays controlling my tongue so much because I do not want to use even any negative words. Don't say unfortunately. I am unable to come. Unfortunately, I cannot come. Why the bloody hell you say unfortunately? Let him not have to say that. And here, her paintings are depicting the pain. I met her about a couple of days back. I should say about 15 days back, I happened to meet Swarna, because Shri Vishwam had told me, Thara, she wanted to talk to you, so can you get in touch with her sister, she wants to do a show. When I spoke to her, I asked her, what makes you paint? Because the title of her show itself says it is emergence. She has emerged out of nothing. I don't know this artist, I have not heard of her, but she has emerged out of nowhere. Suddenly an emergence has happened, and such beautiful paintings, unbelievably fantastic coloring and the texture, the form, the composition, whatnot. Everything is beautifully in place. But where was she all along? She was in somewhere, inside a cocoon, probably. What she was carrying within herself. What was the process by itself for her to come out so powerfully like this? She has done that. He said she was painting, 10 years back I know her, and she has now emerged to be a painter like this. So, it clearly mirrors the emergence of this artist who has all of a sudden come from nowhere. She told me that she has been working constantly for the past 5 years, silently, without bringing her works in a hurry. My appreciations for that. Every artist has got their own style, texturing, coloring, form, medium, and yet all the works are actually speaking about the artist's inner self, the inner space, and the retrospection that happens within him. And ultimately, it is a metaphysical experience. About the metaphysical experience, Mr. Ilango and I had a long discussion one day. It was definitely memorable for me. Metaphysical experience, harmony and nature, and there is an unanimity among all the artists. They can be a figurative artist, they can be a semi-figurative artist, they can be an abstract artist, or they can be just, shade and drawing, so much is there. But ultimately, the mindscape of an artist is important. What you intake, you deliver outside in a creative form, and that's really beautiful. And now, on the surface, these paintings are conveying to me a meaning, but at a deeper level, it conveys the artist herself. இதில் இருக்கிறது வேறு யாரும் கிடையாது. இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஓவியத்தை வரையணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாக்கா என்ன நான் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஓவியத்தை வரைஞ்சிருந்தேன்னு சொன்னாக்க அது நானாக மட்டுமே இருக்க முடியும். என்னால அடுத்தவங்க எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை வரைய முடியாது. சர்டன்லி ஒருத்தர் கதை சூஸ் பண்றாங்க, ஒரு மூவில கதை சூஸ் பண்றாங்கன்னு சொன்னா கூட அதுல வந்து அந்த டைரக்டருக்கு ஏதோ ஒரு பர்சனலி ஒரு இன்டர்னல் டச் இருந்தாதான் அந்த மூவி வந்து அவங்களால பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா டிபிக்ட் பண்ணி கொடுக்க முடியும். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் குணா, அந்த மூவி வந்து பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாக்க there is a lot of observation and absorbing and being absorbed in it and lost in it has happened in that movie. A movie I can never forget in my life. Same like that, Swarnalatha is here. எல்லா பெயிண்டிங்லயும் அவங்க ஒரு மேளம் கொட்டுறாங்க, ஒரு கூடை வச்சுட்டு உட்கார்ந்து இருக்காங்க, ஒரு ஆட்டு மந்தையை மேய்க்கிறாங்க, அதுல அவங்க தான் இருக்கிறாங்க. So the surface of the paintings are conveying a meaning, but in a deeper level it conveys the artist herself, her unheard voice. கேட்கப்படாத அந்த பெண்மணியின் குரல் அதில் ஒலிக்கிறது. Or the unspoken dream, அவள் வெளிச்சொல்ல முடியாமல் சுமந்து கொண்டிருந்த கனவுகள் அதில் இருக்கின்றன. Or the change that she expects the societies that she is living in, அல்லது அவள் எதிர்பார்க்கக்கூடிய இந்த சமூகத்தினுடைய மாற்றமாய் அவள் எதை கனவாய் காண்கிறாளோ அது இதில் சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. The more one observes the paintings, gradually they get absorbed into it, and then the transformation of the vision happens automatically to understand an absolutely different meaning altogether. It depends on how one looks at this. The famous dictionary Johnson, I remember once he described that he is talking about his own self, that I don't have an ear, neither I have a taste for music. He is writing in the life of poets. John Milton oda poetry படிச்சிட்டு I don't have an ear for music அப்படின்னு சொல்லி டிக்ஷனரி ஜான்சன் சொல்றாரு. அவர் இல்லைன்னா நமக்கு டிக்ஷனரி கிடையாது, வேர்ட்ஸ் கிடையாது, ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. And I don't have an ear for music. I'm unable to enjoy the beautiful lyrical expressions of John Milton, but they are wonderful. So ultimately what is left in the melody is just a tune. So படங்களுக்கெல்லாம் பின்னாடி எனக்கு ஒரு சத்தம், ஒரு சின்ன ஒலி, ஒரு சின்ன மெலடி கேட்குது. அந்த மெலடி தான் சொல்லலாம். அந்த மெலடி, சைலண்ட் மெலடி தான் சொல்லலாம். Heard melodies are sweeter, those unheard are sweetest. இதுல கேட்கப்படாத அந்த குரல்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த இனிமை, அந்த இனிமைக்கு பின்னாடி இருக்கக்கூடிய ஏதோ ஒரு வலி. போய்கிட்டே இருக்கும்போது ஒருத்த பட்னியா இருக்கிறான், பார்த்துட்டு நடந்து போறான், எத்தனை பேர் இருக்கான், நின்று ஐயோ பவன் போற அந்த பென்ஸ்காரன் நிப்பாட்டி 2 ரூபாய் போட்டு போட்டானா அவனுக்கு நிச்சயமா வலி தெரியும். அப்பதான் அவனால் நிப்பாட்டி இந்த பசியுடைய கொடுமையை தெரிஞ்சாதான் அவன் 2 ரூபாய் பென்ஸ்காரன் நிப்பாட்டி போட்டு போறான். That is what she has understood. What is the suffering of the woman in the Indian context? And then I also remember what Virginia Woolf said. For most of the history, anonymous was the woman. சரித்திரங்களில் முழுமையாக வந்து பெண் யார் என்பதே தெரியாமல் ஒரு முகமற்றவளாகத்தான் சித்தரிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறான்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க வெர்ஜினியா வுல்ஃப். சோ அப்படி ஒரு முகமற்ற ஒரு இடத்தை தான் இன்றைக்கு வரைக்கும் பெண்கள் தொடர்ந்து போய்கிட்டே இருக்கிறோம். அந்த முகமற்ற இடம், அந்த முகமற்ற இடம் கொடுக்கின்ற அந்த வலியை இந்த இடத்துல ஒரு தூரிகையால இங்க வரையப்பட்டிருக்கு. Painters like Swarna bring meaning to women and make her voice heard so that women will no more be anonymous. But truly speaking, like Edward Hopper said, if I could say it in few words, there would be no reason to paint. நான் எதுக்காக வரையறேங்கிறதுக்கு எந்த விதமான காரண காரியங்களும் இருக்க வேண்டிய அவசியமே கிடையாது. I will keep painting. But there actually need not be a reason to paint because creativity itself takes a courage. நான் ஒரு விஷயத்தை கிரியேட்டிவா சொல்லணும், ஒரு விஷயத்தை போயட்டிக்கா சொல்லணும், இல்ல ஒரு விஷயத்தை ஓவியத்தின் மூலமா சொல்லணும், ஸ்கல்ப்சர் மூலமா சொல்லணும்னா அதற்கான மிகப்பெரிய கம்பீரமும் மிகப்பெரிய தைரியமும் தேவை. ரெண்டாவது, ஒரு சோலோ எக்ஸிபிஷன் வைக்கிறதுங்கிறது கிட்டத்தட்ட நிர்வாணமாக நிக்கிற மாதிரியான ஒரு விஷயம். பிகாஸ் எல்லாரும் கிரிட்டிசைஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க, எல்லாரும் கமெண்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க, ஓவியத்தை பத்தி தெரிஞ்சவங்க எல்லாம் வண்ணம் சரியில்லைன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. எல்லாத்துக்கும் ரெடியா தான் நம்ம மேடையில நிக்கிறோம். Almost like expressing your own nudity is what a solo painting is all about. That's how I feel it. But அது எல்லாத்தையும் தாண்டி எல்லார் வாயிலும் மிகச்சிறப்பாக இருக்குன்னு ஒரு பெண்மணி வாங்கியிருக்கிறாங்கன்னா அது நிச்சயமா பாராட்டப்பட வேண்டிய ஒரு விஷயம். So the legendary artist Pablo Picasso, அவர்கிட்ட வருவோம். கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா நகர்ந்து மறுபடியும் நம்ம லைஃப்ல நமக்கு பேக்வர்ட் ஜர்னி தான் நிறைய இருக்கு. மன்மத லீலைன்னு ஒரு படம் பார்த்தேன். அந்த படத்துல எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச இடமே அது குதிரை பின்னாடி போயிட்டே இருக்கும். எஸ், நமக்கு நிறைய டைம்ல நம்ம லைஃப்ல பின்புறமாக நம்ம யோசிச்சு பாக்குறோமே ஒழி, ஆனா நின்று திரும்பி பார்த்து என்னுடைய லைஃபை பாக்குறதுக்கு எனக்கு நேரம் இல்லாம இருக்கு. அதை தான் நம்ம இன்னைக்கு எல்லாருமே ஃபேஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். இதுல the legendary artist Pablo Picasso, who said art washes away the soul from the dust of everyday life. what he said is very true. The everyday life accumulates so much of dust for a creator to paint, for a poet to write, and a sculptor to sculpt. That's very true. The everyday of life accumulates so much of dust, so many cobwebs are there. And here, in the other words, the process of cleansing is creativity itself and nothing other than that. It is here, it is here, it is here. The creativity is the cleansing process by itself. Importantly, Swarna has chosen the style of Picasso, who was the most dominant and most influential artist of the first half of the 20th century in her works. Picasso's minds, the ideas and vision for art is infinite. We all know about it. Standing in Cholamandal, I don't have to talk about the artist. Swarna choosing him is really intriguing, because it calls for a travel within her mind to understand why she chose this form and pattern and the style. The form of her expression best depicts the Picassian style, which means that she must have studied him and his form of expression so very well, because her paintings are showing the dexterity, I underline the word dexterity, and the confidence in carrying on the style with such an ease and elegance. That she has got, kind of, people used to say the best art is the moment they are just taking and sketching the thing. They call it the audacity of a stroke. That is what I see in her paintings. So she has a dexterity of confidence in carrying the style with such an ease and elegance, and she must have had sleepless nights before she even delivered these paintings. She must have been pregnant with the thoughts, and she has delivered it, and the heavy days would have been there for her, which has brought her beautiful works. I strongly believe that the travel of this artist is very, very important for all of us. When one emerges to be an artist, that is not the end of all. ஒரு ஓவியராக ஒருத்தர் வெளியே வந்துட்டாரு, சோலோ எக்ஸிபிஷன் பண்ணிட்டாங்க, இல்ல 10 ஓபி எக்ஸிபிஷன் பண்ணிட்டாங்க, இல்ல பல விருதுகள் வாங்கிட்டாங்கிற இடத்துல வந்து அந்த ஓவியனுடைய பயணம் நிச்சயமாக முடியல. அதற்கு பிறகும் அந்த பயணம் தொடர்ந்து கொண்டே இருக்கிறது. So இவங்க இன்னைக்கு சோலோ எக்ஸிபிஷன் பண்ணது is not the end of all. The travel, the inward and the outward, the knowledge gain, the observation and the absorption, the expression, the refinement of the expression, the depiction and the redepiction, the creation and the recreation, and the list goes on, it never ends in my life. It is this travel that will shape the artist, carry them beyond the horizon, and make them memorable and really remarkable, to be very eminent and to be always remembered as a legacy, because there is no litmus paper with anybody. இவங்க இப்படி பண்ணிருக்காங்க, இவங்க என்ன லேர்ன் பண்ணிருக்காங்க, இவங்க எந்த காலேஜ்ல இருந்து வந்தாங்கன்னு ஒரு லிட்மஸ் பேப்பர் எடுத்து கெமிக்கல்ல போட்டு பார்க்குற மாதிரி ஒரு ஆர்டிஸ்ட போட்டு நம்ம டெஸ்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. அது எல்லாத்தையும் தாண்டி we'll know the inner self of the artist is being expressed here, and there is an inner journey of the artist which is also invisible here. It is veiled behind these colorful paintings. And like finally I quote E. Cummings, who is my most favorite poet. He had said, it takes courage to grow up and become who you are, who really you are. மிகப்பெரிய தைரியம் வேணும். நான் என்னவா இருக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேனோ அதுவாக நான் ஆவதற்கு எனக்கு மிகப்பெரிய தைரியம் வேணும். அதை தொடர்ந்து போரிடுவதற்கான, தொடர்ந்து களங்களில் இறங்குவதற்கான அந்த தைரியத்தை நான் சுமந்து செல்ல வேண்டும் தான் சொல்லியிருக்கிறார். I wish Swarnalatha all the very best. I know my talk has been long, but somehow or other I thought such a beautiful show, I have to speak a little more. Thank you so much for the opportunity to Mr. Chandrasekhar and Swarnalatha, and for all the other people who have been sitting here patient.